Aloha and welcome to our video on glaciers. In this video we'll describe the different types of glaciers and where we can find them. We'll explain how glaciers move, and then we'll explain the effects of the most recent ice age. To begin, let's discuss what is a glacier. A glacier quite simply is a real thick ice mass that moves slowly. Now they're going to originate in an area where your snowfall is going to be greater than the snow melt. So you have an accumulation, and that's what we'll call this, a zone of accumulation where they form. Now there are two different kinds of glaciers that we'll talk about in the unit. The first one is going to be what we call a valley glacier, and you can see an example of it here. You have this area here where you have more snowfall than snow melt, and it's going to form this ice. That ice is going to flow down this valley, and we can kind of see that we have this glacier here that's just moving down a valley in the mountains. And that's about how big they are. They're going to be as big as a valley is. In addition to valley glaciers, we also have ice sheets. And ice sheets are going to be a little bit different. They're going to be a lot larger. We can see here are two examples. We have one in Greenland and one covers all of the Antarctica down in the South Pole. What makes ice sheets different is they're going to have more than one area of accumulation, more than one area where they're going to be growing from. And they're going to form these huge sheets that are going to totally blanket the landscape, and they can be a lot thicker as well. So we have valley glaciers, which are going to be a little bit smaller, and then we have these ice sheets, which are going to be a lot larger. Now there's two processes for glaciers to move. We can have internal deformation, and this is where you're actually going to have here these ice crystals moving past each other. You apply enough pressure, you apply enough stress, and it's going to cause them to move. It tends to be kind of brittle, and this is where you get your crevasses and things of that nature. It's where this ice is splitting and moving that way. We also have what we call basal sliding. And basal sliding is a little bit different, and that's where you have all of this weight is pushing down, and you get this thin, small layer of water here at the bottom, and it's on this water that glacier can kind of slide over. So you can change the ice and kind of form it as a solid and squish it and cause it to break and move, or we can melt it down and just kind of have it flow over this little layer of water, and that's what basal sliding is. Okay, so let's take a cross section of a glacier here real quickly and discuss a couple parts. Up here we have the zone of accumulation, and that's where it is forming from. This is where the glacier comes from. It's where you have more snowfall than melt, so you're building ice all the time. You can travel down the glacier and you can see it's moving, and it can move by basal sliding here on the bottom or internal deformation. And one of the results of this internal deformation is going to be these crevasses, these deep cracks that we can see here. Now at the other end from the zone of accumulation, we have the zone of wastage, and this is where you have more melt than you have forming, so this is normally where we see the end of the glacier. And at the very end of it, sometimes we'll see iceberg formation by calving, and that's where it'll break here. You can have like a crevasse, and it'll cause this portion here to break off and form an iceberg. Now glaciers are really important. They tend to get larger during the periods of time we call an ice age. And we can kind of see here our glacial coverage in the most recent ice age. So if we look from the North Pole down, we can see that a lot of North America was covered in glacier. And some of the things that this glacier did, and we'll learn about this in the next lesson, but we'll see that that caused a lot of the geology that we see in this section of the United States, and also up here in Canada, where this glacier was once the dominant feature. Okay, so that's it for this video. As always, good luck on your lessons and quizzes, and we'll see you in the next video.